Good evening, and thank you for joining us for ALRP's 2021 virtual celebration. While this version of the event is less than ideal, we want to keep folks safe while also celebrating and honoring the individuals and organizations that make ALRP's work possible. Tonight is about resiliency and hope in the face of some significant challenges. During the strange, surreal year since last year's virtual event, there have been some much needed moments of respite from the bad news, saving the housing of a 75-year-old long-term AIDS survivor, helping someone get dental care, getting an expedited naturalization for an immigrant so that he could live out his final days as a US citizen, securing political asylum for someone facing terrible persecution in their country of origin, to name but a few. The fear and isolation that so many of ALRP's clients face reminds us all of the great strength we have as a community. Once again, San Francisco leads the country in its ability to respond to a public health crisis with a solid deference to science and a long-standing tradition of compassion. We continue to embrace the advancements that have been made in eradicating the AIDS epidemic. We have better drugs, we have better prevention tools, but the crisis is still very much alive. More than 2,500 people living with HIV in San Francisco are unstably housed, and this number will continue to grow as people with HIV are forced out of their rent-controlled units or are faced with dramatic reductions in their income when they age out of their long-term disability benefits. While over 75% of people living with HIV are virally suppressed, only 20% of people living with HIV who are unstably housed have achieved viral suppression. There can be no doubt that eviction prevention and other legal services are at the core of HIV treatment and prevention. So ALRP has and will continue to step up and fight for our clients, even as we have faced our own challenges these past 18 months. This past year, I lost a good friend from law school, Pat Dunn. ALRP lost a good friend in Pat too, someone who worked for justice, most especially for immigrants living with HIV. Pat will be among those we honor tonight. For those of you who didn't have the great fortune to meet Pat, you will learn a little more about her deep commitment to social justice, as well as the good work of our other honorees. I hope you are enjoying your beverage of choice as we prepare to toast Pat, as well as our Attorney of the Year, Firm of the Year, and the whole ALRP community, as tonight is, after all, a celebration. To get us into that celebratory mode, I will try to offer some final words of hope and resilience. I often find that I can tap into those hopeful feelings most strongly when I'm inspired by others. My colleagues on ALRP's panel, our board, our incredibly hardworking staff, and our partners in the legal community. These are the folks who inspire me tonight and every day to continue this fight. As I approach turning 60 this year, I'm sure I will spend a lot of time reflecting on the challenging political climate, the fires, the scourge of homelessness and lack of basic health care, but even more so on the great progress and achievements that we have made as a community, responding to one health crisis and now responding to another. As always, ALRP is leading the charge, and I've never been more proud to be a part of this wonderful family. I have the pleasure of introducing our guest host for tonight's event, Supervisor Shimon Walton. The first Black man to be elected president of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Walton has represented District 10 since 2019. He is a community leader devoted to his constituents in the predominantly working class neighborhoods of Bayview Hunters Point, Dogpatch, and Potrero Hill. A former president of the San Francisco Board of Education, Supervisor Walton is a strong advocate for Black, Latinx, and special needs students in our public schools. He has worked to create living wage jobs, affordable housing, and homeless support services, as well as universal health care. Supervisor Walton recently led a city budget process that resulted in an unprecedented investment in addressing homelessness and a significant increase in funding for housing subsidies for people living with HIV and mental health services for long-term survivors. He's a leader committed to working on behalf of the most vulnerable among us. And those of us in the community-based nonprofit world share that commitment. We at ALRP are delighted to have him with us this evening, and I'm honored to introduce our special guest host, Supervisor Shimon Walton.
This special honor is named for Clint Hockenberry, who was the first executive director of the AIDS Legal Referral Panel. He served in this capacity for 6 years, until his death from AIDS in 1992. Clint dedicated his life to serving people with HIV, and it's in his memory that ALRP has named this leadership award. This evening, the board and staff of ALRP are proud to present the 2021 Clint Hockenberry Leadership Award posthumously to Pat Dunn, who recently passed away suddenly and way too soon. Pat Dunn was a person close to the heart of the entire ALRP family, connected to this cause since the early days of 1987. She founded the Immigrant HIV Assistance Project, also known as IHAP, which became a program at ALRP in 2003. She worked for the San Francisco Department of Public Health and the Gay and Lesbian Medical Association, and served tirelessly on the ALRP board from 2000 to 2003. Pat put her heart and soul into working for the underserved and those most in need in our community. There is so much more to say about Pat and her incredible contributions, but I'm going to defer to a video presentation that has been prepared for all of you.
Pat Dunn was one of the most compassionate, intelligent, and detail-oriented attorney I ever worked with.
She was really gentle and funny and dedicated and humble, a really good friend. She worked so hard.
Pat was what we in Yiddish would call a mensch, a person who does good deeds. Pat dedicated her life to helping some of the most vulnerable members of our community.
She was always someone who connected with people, and I think that's really her social work background always coming out first and foremost, more than her lawyer background, even though we all interacted with her as an attorney.
And she just was so kind and really calm. She had a very calming effect, even though her mind was super engaged and super fast. She was very calm.
She was fun, she was funny, she had just a great ability to enjoy herself while she was doing the great work, and she leaves a giant hole in our hearts and in the LGBTQ and progressive community here in San Francisco.
I'm sure Pat had a huge impact in lots of communities, even though I don't think she would ever admit to that or even hardly acknowledge it. She was really humble.
There is so much love and compassion that flowed from Pat throughout her life. She was involved in so many organizations and so many causes, from her work with the Lesbian Gay Medical Association, to her work with the Board of Supervisors, to her work with the San Francisco AIDS Foundation, to her work with New Leaf and other mental health and homelessness serving organizations. Pat made an impact on this world that will not be forgotten.
Over the long arc of her career, Pat had a tremendous impact. And I think one thing that ties together the many different things that she did is a real commitment to health and wellness, and really looking at how do we make sure that every member of our community has access to the resources that they need to be healthy and to be well, whether that was HIV and AIDS, whether that was access to healthcare. And I think that really was kind of one of the guiding lights in her life. And within that, I think it's important to call out her deep sense of commitment to justice and equity, and really ensuring that, you know, when we look at health and wellness, that means every single person in our community has access to those resources and top quality resources. And I think, you know, that has just been a tremendous gift to the community. I think her commitment to that really has spanned decades.
I just think she's just an amazing person. The fact that she got the federal government to fund the very first immigrant HIV assistance project in the country through the Ryan White Care Act, the first time the federal government actually gave money to help HIV positive people in the United States. Most of the money went for health care and social services. However, there was a small piece in there for legal services, and Pat jumped on it. She wrote the most extensive, thorough proposal you could ever imagine. Nobody would be able to say no to that. And they didn't. They actually accepted it and funded us for many years.
She was not the kind of person in a room who spoke up first, but she was often one to volunteer first for whatever needed to get done. There was this initiative that the federal government did called Healthy People 2020. At that point, it was Healthy People 2010. And leading up to it, Pat, when she was working at the Gay and Lesbian Medical Association, got together with folks to try to have that initiative, a federal government initiative, pay attention to lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people for the first time. And so what they developed was this really comprehensive scan of all the research that had been known about LGBT health up to that point, and ultimately got the federal government to endorse this. But this was groundbreaking to have the federal government recognize our communities and recognize our health needs in a way that they hadn't done before.
Pat was dedicated to serving immigrants with HIV at a time when people who were living with HIV were excludable from our country. She worked tirelessly on their behalf, making sure that they were able to remain in this country and be free from the persecution that they experienced in their country of origin.
Over the long arc of her career, her focus was really on health and wellness. And in that work, it was incredibly important to her to keep a focus on justice and equity. And as the world has evolved in incredible ways over the last 30 years, her vision and her work evolved right along with that, so that she continued to sort of be at the vanguard of that, always pushing the boundaries, always trying to look at how we can do more, dig deeper, make sure that we absolutely do not leave anybody in our community behind.
I think it's totally appropriate that Pat received this award, that it's well earned, and she's one of the kinds of people that are often overlooked for these kinds of awards, because she had this quiet way about her that she was just dedicated and worked hard and was always committed to whatever she was involved with. And she was a natural leader.
So I think it's actually very fitting that this award goes to Pat. I know that Pat adored Clint and really looked to him as a mentor and as a leader in the work that she did when she was at the Bar Association and Clint was at AIDS Legal Referral Panel. They were both really relentless in what they believed in and who they were standing up for and fighting for.
On behalf of Pat and myself, thank you so much to everyone at ALRP for this award. You know, Pat and I met when we both worked at the Bar Association of San Francisco's Volunteer Legal Services Program with Tanya Neiman and Janet Selden. Pat was there first, and I quickly learned of her passion for serving immigrants, particularly those living with HIV/AIDS, and those who are unwelcome in this country or any country. She fell in love with her clients, and I fell in love with her. And Pat loved ALRP and the very practical difference that ALRP made. She admired Clint Hockenberry tremendously and would do anything for Bill Hirsch or Jim McBride or Eileen Hansen or Erwin Keller. I think Pat and ALRP were a great match, both impactful in the most humble and tangible ways. Pat's consulting business was named Amphora, which was taken from a Marge Piercy poem, To Be of Use. Quoting from that poem, Greek amphoras for wine or oil, Hopi vases that held corn, are put in museums, but you know they were made to be used. The pitcher cries for water to carry and a person for work that is real. ALRP's work is real. And it was Pat's great privilege and joy to be a part of it. She would be so surprised and so honored to be recognized for her contributions and to be associated with Clint. She would be especially touched to know that her colleagues and great friends, Bill Hirsch and Ignatius Bow and Janet Selden and Michael Ginther and Rebecca Rolfe remember her with so much affection and respect, and that her legacy is interwoven with ALRP. Pat's email signature before she died included a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and I quote, "Of all forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and inhumane." She loved that ALRP helped people with HIV and AIDS maintain or improve their health by resolving their legal issues. You honor Pat with this very significant recognition, and all of you, ALRP donors, volunteers, board, staff, funders, honor her with your ongoing and tenacious work on behalf of immigrants and others living with HIV and AIDS. On behalf of Pat and all of us who love and now miss her, thank you so much for recognizing her and her work. And thank you for all you do battling inequality and injustice, for being of such extraordinary use. Thank you.
This year, ALRP is thrilled to name Michael Astanehe as the 2021 Attorney of the Year. They give this award to an attorney who demonstrates extraordinary commitment to their ALRP clients. Michael is the founder of Astanehe Law, where he represents employees, investors, and tenants in civil legal matters. He fights on behalf of employees who have faced discrimination, harassment, wage violations, and wrongful termination. He fights for tenants facing wrongful evictions and harassment. He fights for and assists investors who have been victims of broker fraud. It's fair to say Michael is working on the side of fairness and justice in all of these cases. While Michael is relatively new to ALRP, having just joined the panel in 2019, he has launched into taking on ALRP cases with gusto. Michael accepted 6 ALRP referrals in just the last year in the areas of landlord-tenant, credit, contracts, and employment, and managed to secure a significant settlement for one client. Michael earned his BA in political science at San Francisco State University and his law degree from the University of California, Hastings. During law school, he clerked for the National Housing Law Project and for a local solar energy company. Astanehe Law has successfully litigated disputes against powerful defendants such as Wells Fargo, Charles Schwab, and PG&E. So he knows a lot about matching wits with top corporate attorneys. Michael is also the brains and the brawn behind the website banthebox.net. This is a public resource that keeps tracks of changes to local and state law around Ban the Box, a movement advocating to remove from employment applications the checkbox asking if applicants have a criminal record. It's valuable and a progressive cause, which I'm sure Michael would love to speak more about if you ask him. It does my heart and soul good to be here to present the ALRP 2021 Attorney of the Year Award to an attorney who has dedicated his practice to preserving the civil rights of tenants, workers, and others who experience injustice. For his exceptional service and commitment to good work, ALRP is proud to honor panel attorney Michael Astanehe.
Thank you, Supervisor Walton. It is an honor to receive this award presented by you, as well as ALRP. I want to thank ALRP. They're a great organization with a storied history that I'm honored to be a part of and to accept this award from. As an ALRP panel attorney, you have the choice of working on a diverse array of cases. But myself, I limit it to my practice areas, which would be employment law and landlord-tenant law, and disability discrimination. You have plenty of opportunities to work on these types of cases. You are helping oftentimes people who, when they try to enter the legal system, they're being turned away from other firms, or they're having difficulties trying to get results themselves. So they need somebody to advocate on their behalf. By oftentimes large corporations that are going to hire attorneys that simply just want to delay the case because they know maybe it'll go away. So you're helping people achieve justice, get real tangible results for wrongs that they suffered while just trying to live their lives in a way that feels fulfilling and really feels like you're helping the person. Also, I've met some attorneys that worked for ALRP, and I found them to be some of the smartest and brightest attorneys that I had worked with. Working as an ALRP attorney, a panel attorney, is not only rewarding, but helps further the legal profession and the law itself. Laws are only, or justice rather, is only something that's obtainable by people who are able and willing to bring claims. By serving as a panel attorney, you're helping people achieve justice, furthering rights, because rights only exist when people are asserting them and bringing claims in court to ensure they exist and are upheld. So you're ensuring that everybody's rights are upheld and that rights are being afforded to everyone, not just a select few.
Tonight, ALRP is delighted to honor Tobener Ravenscroft as its 2021 Law Firm of the Year. Every year, the Firm of the Year award is bestowed upon the law firm that has given substantial resources to help ALRP clients in cases that fall outside of the scope of what ALRP as a small nonprofit can handle in-house. And Tobener Ravenscroft certainly fits that bill. It speaks volumes to the great esteem of Tobener Ravenscroft that they have been chosen as the law firm of the year. In spite of the fact that they brazenly poached one of ALRP's favorite staff attorneys, Brian Brophy, a few years back. Clearly, they have gone above and beyond, and the time since then, not only to be forgiven for this treasonous act, but to be singled out for recognition of their tremendous contributions to the ALRP community. Tobener Ravenscroft is the leading tenants' rights law firm in the San Francisco Bay Area, having served more than 10,000 Northern California tenants facing wrongful evictions, landlord harassment, discrimination, and other critical housing issues. In rent-controlled jurisdictions, they fight illegal rent increases, owner move-in evictions, Ellis Act evictions, and evictions for renovations and capital improvements. At ALRP, they approach their work with the underlying principle that housing is a fundamental right. For people living with HIV, safe, affordable housing is absolutely essential for them to manage their health. While ALRP has a robust eviction defense team on staff, they still rely upon pro bono efforts that are essential for them to make sure that they meet the immense scope of legal needs of tenants living with HIV around the Bay Area. The firm's collective knowledge and understanding of complex local housing laws is put towards the service of ordinary folks seeking to remain in their homes. A former client put it this way in one of the many glowing public comments on their website. Tobener Ravenscroft is a fantastic teammate dealing with the Hunger Games vibe of the Bay Area landscape these days. Those of us who have survived the daily battles of Bay Area real estate know what this client means. With offices in San Francisco, Oakland, and San Jose, and with former ALRP staff attorney Brian Brophy on their team, Tobener Ravenscroft is the largest tenants' rights firm in California. The firm's attorneys annually log nearly 500 volunteer hours for tenant law nonprofits, giving back to communities that sorely lack the resources of their adversaries. ALRP and its clients have long been beneficiaries of this public serving ethic and firm's expertise. We're proud of our connection, and we are honored to award the distinction of ALRP 2021 Firm of the Year to Tobener Ravenscroft.
Tobener Ravenscroft is incredibly honored to be accepting the Firm of the Year award from ALRP. And I am particularly honored to be accepting on the firm's behalf. I began my legal career as a law clerk at ALRP in about 10 years ago. And I stuck around long enough as a law clerk that ended up becoming an attorney at ALRP, my first job out after I passed the bar. It was a privilege to begin my legal career there and have my values shaped by ALRP as an organization. They go above and beyond in working with their clients. ALRP works with a community of clients who face particular challenges in light of living with HIV. Recognizing the impact of housing on health has been an important driver in my career. When I began at Tobener Ravenscroft, I was excited to explore opportunities to help tenants in the Bay Area in other ways. We do this work with ALRP in order to provide some level of justice to ensure people have homes.
How about those young up-and-coming attorneys, Michael and Brian? Wow. Hey, I'm here with the wonderful Frank Bizzarro of Bizzarro's Gala and Event Auctions. Frank and his fabulous auction team have been donating their professional auction services to ALRP for more than a decade. We love you, Frank. Thanks so much for being here again this year to help us promote the ALRP Online Auction.
Well, glad to be here, Bill, and always happy to support ALRP.
We have some wonderful items again this year, even though our auction is a bit smaller than usual. You can browse our online auction and bid on items by visiting the ALRP bidding website, alrp2021.ggo.bid.
Now, this year's selection of auction items include an amazing Yosemite getaway package that includes lodging, a round of golf, a hiking tour, and craft beer. We also have tickets to a December 2021 Warriors basketball game, a beautiful acrylic painting called Lolita by artist George Rommel, also a gift certificate to the High Tops Bar and Grill, Studio Mix Gym, sports, it's a sports basement, a wine country getaway to Vizsla House, and more. And a special item donated by our wonderful friends at Pillsbury Winthrop Shaw Pittman LLP.
That's right, Frank. Pillsbury has once again donated a luxury suite for 16 guests at Oracle Park for a 2022 San Francisco Giants baseball game. Our boys in black and orange may have fallen a little short in the playoffs this year, but you know they'll be back in contention in 2022.
Oh, they sure will. And simply, there's no better way to experience a Giants game than in this fabulous luxury suite with 16 of your friends, family, and colleagues. This amazing auction package includes $1,000 food and beverage allowance, 4 parking passes, concierge services, a wet bar, and so much more. Go to ALRP2021.ggo.bid and start bidding.
We recommend you open a new tab or use another device like a cell phone or tablet to browse or bid. This way you can continue to watch us on YouTube while participating in the online auction. Setting up a donate bidding account is fast and easy. It takes only about a minute.
How about that? When you arrive at the ALRP2021.ggo.bid site, just click the Get Started button in the upper right corner and then click the green Create an Account bar and complete the process.
If you already set up an account at ALRP2021.ggo.bid, simply enter your username and password and click the black Login button, and then click the big gavel or Start Bidding link and start donating or bidding. It's that easy.
Now we invite you to open up your heart and your wallet and to help us.
Every gift makes a difference. Thank you so much. Hi folks, we're back.
Well, Bill, we're actually never left.
So next, Frank and I are going to talk to you about something special. This year's special appeal. As you may know, last year ALRP handled over 2,100 cases for over 1,300 clients. Throughout the nearly 2 years since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, ALRP has not once turned away a client in need of our services. And this is in large part due to the tremendous efforts of our law clerks. Our staff and panel attorneys are doing their best to keep up, but we desperately need the support of law clerks throughout the year to meet the demand.
Yeah, we hope tonight to raise $15,000. We want to fund we want to fund 5, not 3, but we want to fund 5 $3,000 law clerk scholarships in the Fund of Need and Special Appeal. And now, to donate tonight, or if you want to bid on items on our online auction, you need to visit the ALRP bidding website, and that's ALRP2021.ggo.bid, and set up an account. Setting up the donate/bidding account is fast and it's easy. It only takes about a minute to do it.
When you arrive at ALRP2021.ggo.bid, just click the Get Started button in the upper right corner, and then click the green Create Account bar and complete the process. If you already set up an account at ALRP2021.ggo.bid, simply enter your username and password and click the black Login button, and then click the big gavel or Start Bidding link and start donating or bidding.
There you go. Now, to donate to the ALRP Fund of Need, just scroll down and click the blue Donate to the ALRP Fund of Need. It's a button and it's located on the lower right. Now, select the amount that you wish to donate. It's that easy. We now invite you to open your heart, open your wallet, and to help us.
Every gift makes a difference. Thank you. We really appreciate it. Here are the Fund of Need giving options. The donation levels are $3,000, $1,500, $1,000, $750, $500, $250, $100, $50, and $25.
Okay, now is there anyone out there in this virtual land that we have created who would like to start the bidding tonight for $3,000? Remember, one scholarship, $3,000 to fully fund the law clerk scholarships. Anyone out there, $3,000, let's get it started. What do you say?
Or maybe there are 2 people who will be willing to donate $1,500 each to make up the match.
Oh yeah, you could do it. Now take 2 and we'll get it done. Oh, I'll tell you what, how about $1,000? 3 people get together, $1,000, be 8,000, 25, wait a second, $1,000, and you'll get it started. We only need 3 of you. I'll tell you what, 4 of you at $750. What do you say? It's not that much money.
How about a donation at the $500 level to the Fund in Need? Any other folks willing to donate $500 tonight?
Well, okay, how about $250? $250. Think about it. Put it into comparison of today. You're looking at $250. That's dinner with your significant other. You buy a mediocre bottle of wine, or you can just give ALRP that $250, and it could create a scholarship.
You know, Frank, law clerks are the lifeblood of ALRP. They support ALRP staff and volunteer panel attorneys and help us to handle the number of legal cases our clients need help with each year. We simply could not do what we do without them.
Hey, that's why we're asking you folks to help us raise this money. That's right, to help us recruit and pay our law clerks. So what do you say, folks? It's there, I should say, I'm blowing this. Is there anyone willing to donate $100 to help us reach our goal tonight? Just $100. I'll tell you what, you could reach in your pocket. You don't know how many $100 you have right now.
Of course, any gift amount will be welcomed. Thank you all so much.
Remember, you can donate to the Law Clerk Scholarship Fund in Need at any time, all the way up until midnight tonight. Once again, to bid or donate tonight, visit alrp2021.ggo.bid, click the Get Started button in the upper right corner, and then click green Create Account or the Login button.
Thanks to all of you who have donated, and to those of you who are bidding on items in the ALRP Online Auction.
And to those of you who will donate or bid later tonight before midnight.
And thanks to you, Frank. You really are the heart of ALRP.
Well, thank you, Bill. Thanks.
Tonight, I would like to thank a few folks in closing. First, the many law firms and organizations who generously sponsored the celebration, especially our presenting sponsor, Gilead Sciences. Second, the donors to our auction this year, most especially to Pillsbury Winthrop for their continued support. Third, our special guest host, Supervisor Walton, and all of our honorees this evening. Fourth, Jim McBride, Farron Stalker, Frank Bizzarro, and Jim Bracken Nonprofit Communications for their work to produce the virtual event. Fifth, ALRP's incredibly dedicated staff, our wonderful volunteer board of directors, and all of our awesome panel attorneys. Next, I'd like to acknowledge all of our many generous donors who continue to support ALRP so that we can continue to serve the community. Thank you all for joining us tonight.